Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of He Said, He Said, He Said, a look at the world from a seasoned Black man's perspective. I'm Alvin King, I'm your host, and thank you for joining us tonight, Friday, May the 6th. We have a dual dynamic show for you tonight, real estate and the climate change, solar energy 101. We have two very, very special guests, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm sure by the end of this conversation tonight and our show tonight, you will have a better understanding or at least have a more interest in the areas of real estate and climate change and how the two are affecting one another. But again, thank you for joining us and being here tonight. I want to say happy Mother's Day weekend to all of the mothers out there. I do hope that you have a great weekend. Here in DC, it's rainy, but that shouldn't stop you from having a good weekend. However, COVID is on the rise, ladies and gentlemen. So if you got to make that shift to not, be in a big crowd and spend time with your mother just to make sure that she's okay, please take that into consideration. All right. But have a beautiful Mother's Day, mothers. Again, I salute you. I also want to say congratulations to the graduates this weekend, at least in DC. I think Howard University is graduating, and I think American University is graduating, but we're in that month or that time where all the graduations are happening. So we are saluting you as well. And May is also Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So, I wanted to make sure that I announced that I have a very, very, very dear friend of mine. She is Asian, and so I am immersed in her culture. And I think with this being Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, it's an opportunity for you to go and learn something about the culture. Okay, and so I implore you to do that, ladies and gentlemen. But also. This is, a lot going on this month. Mental Health Awareness Month. And we here at He Said have been so fortunate to have people guest on our show to talk about mental health awareness. I mean, we've had Dr. Donita Holmes on the show. We have had Corey George on the show. We have had Dr. Deborah Warner on the show. And we have had Stephen Welch on the show. And all of them have been here to talk to us and share their expertise on mental health awareness. It is a very important topic, and we want to make sure that that He Said stays at the forefront of bringing this information to you. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, again, welcome to our show tonight. And please join me in welcoming my co-host, Mr. Vash Boddie.
Hey.
Hey, Vash.
Hey, Alvin. Hey, everybody.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. With everything else that's going on, yesterday was Cinco de Mayo.
That's right.
So,
happy Cinco de Mayo. I was up in the house. I wasn't doing my usual Cinco de Mayo celebrating yesterday.
Right on.
So, but happy belated Cinco de Mayo. Yes. Hey, look, it's raining here in DC. Is it raining up there in Philadelphia? Are you guys getting it?
Yep, it is. It's like a light drizzle.
Oh, well,
nothing too crazy.
It's been crazy. It's been crazy raining all day. So let me see who's joining us already. Oh, okay. We Monica and Blue is here. How you guys doing tonight?
Hey, y'all.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. I should know. I had a feeling Blue is also in the real estate arena, so I'm glad that he's joining us tonight. So thank you. I'm sure he has a lot that he may want to say, ladies and gentlemen. But thank you all for joining us tonight. So Vash, I think we have some congratulatory announcements to make. Karine Jean-Pierre, she was made the first African American and first LGBTQ woman, as she's going to be the new White House press secretary. Yes, and I am so happy that is happening. I'm so happy but when I first saw her when the campaign started, I was thinking, you know, she might make a good, you know, I was just thinking press secretary. You know, I don't know why I thought that. So I'm glad to see that has happened. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so absolutely amazing. Congratulations to her. It's just amazing. It's like queerness is happening all over the place. You've got
all over the place. Queerness is happening, ladies and gentlemen. And you know, and I'm going to say this, and I just think she is so beautiful.
Yes,
I just think she's so beautiful, and just the way she carries herself. I'm just so proud, and I'm feeling real proud, like she's my sister or something. But I'm feeling real proud that she's in that role. So, congratulations. Well, you know, we got a dynamic show tonight. We've been talking about this show, and we finally got the two folks that we've been trying to get to come on the show. So, we're going to talk about, you know, the housing market and what's going on. It's very crazy out there right now, and a lot of things going on.
It's super dynamic, and people are talking about the bubble. Other people are talking about it being the best time to get into the market. Can't wait to start this out with Troy.
Well, I can't wait. Hey, Bobby. Hey, Rose. How are you two doing? Thank you for joining us tonight. Well, if you're ready, Vash, I'm going to go ahead and start the show and introduce our first guest.
Okay, right on. Bring it on.
Well, our first guest understood early that the differences he saw in his home and those of his friends was that his parents owned their home. Home ownership offered the stability and a base to put 4 children through college. After arriving into D.C. in 1987, when he was stationed in the U.S. Coast Guards, Troy Patterson went on to become a graduate of the University of North Carolina and American University. He holds designations as a luxury home marketing specialist, graduate realtor institute, certified residential specialist, and military relocation professional. He has certifications as a financing specialist in Virginia and pre-licensing instructor in the District of Columbia. Starting first as a real estate investor, then realtor, Troy has been a consistent top producing agent in the DC metropolitan area. He lived in every quadrant of Washington, D.C., and has watched the explosive growth in the city and been able to guide clients to find great homes and great investments. When he's not selling homes, Troy lends his time to extensive work fundraising for the Studio Theater, Georgetown University, the National Building Museum, and the National Association of Home Builders. He said, family, welcome to our stage tonight, Troy Patterson, real estate agent, the Spera Group at TTR Sotheby's. Hey, Troy.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Ooh, I sound good on paper.
Well, you look good in person. How about that? Okay. Bingo. Thanks for joining us tonight, man.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, we're going to get this show on the road, so I'm just going to put it in your hands right now, Troy. After welcoming you, tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been in the real estate arena.
Well, I've been a realtor for about 16 years, coming up on 17. Actually started out as an investor, and the reason I actually got my license, I was only going to do it part-time, was mostly for that investment. But I think I was a realtor for 6 months helping people, and it felt like a calling. In so many ways, when you are there, when people are making the biggest decision of their lives, and it can be very daunting. So I sometimes find myself playing the role of psychologist as well as therapist during that period.
I am so sure. So let me ask you this question: with the interest rates and inflation going up, why should anyone want to buy right now, Troy?
All right. Well, I have to say the interest rates did go up, and that 0.5% interest rate actually translates into a 20% drop in people's ability to purchase. That is huge, and it's not going to stop. Rates have been historically low for since 2010, 2011. And right now, what we're seeing is that likely by the end of the year, we are going to be going up into the high 5s, low 6s. With that is going to be people's buying power. So at the same time that interest rates are going up, people's equity is. So it is a good, housing has typically been one of the more stable investments. But the thing is, if you are paying rent right now, you're paying somebody's mortgage. I can't stress that enough. And rents continue to rise. I think we saw a 8 or 9% increase in DC in rents in DC recently, in the DMV, and across the country they're rising. So landlord, what we're seeing is a lot of investors are buying these properties across the country, and that's that's your competition. These hedge funds are buying properties in communities and then renting them out, and then raising the rents to the point where people can't afford it. Wow. So if you want to recession-proof your life, purchasing a property means that your rent/mortgage is going to be stable at least for 30 years.
Wow. So are people also buying homes to rent them out so that other people are paying their mortgages?
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of people who do look at investing. And if anyone wants to reach out to me offline, I can talk to you about how to invest, how to evaluate a property and whether or not it is a good investment.
For basically that purpose, to be able to either.
Correct.
Okay.
My nephew bought a property, and I'm so proud of him. He's 28. He bought his first property, and he's turned it into an Airbnb, and he's starting to add on to it to increase the income on that.
Which is another thing that is driving up rents, I'm assuming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So your nephew bought a home. When people buy a house, what are some of the hidden costs that they don't, I don't know, either budget for or anticipate?
Well, you really want to budget for maintenance. Typically, when you do, always get an inspection. Even if you have to waive the inspection as part of the process, you do definitely want to always get an inspection. So with that, your inspector should be able to give you an idea of any of the life of any given appliance or any given system. So if you should start to budget almost immediately for a new roof, a new HVAC system, and those things, although those costs are rising right now with the supply chain issues, those are things that you can budget for, and especially if you know that you're budgeting for over in the long run.
Okay, very interesting. I want to jump back to something you said about interest rates rising and how that affects people's buying power. Can you sort of give us a general equation for what a 0.25% or a percent rise in interest rate does to what a mortgage might be?
All right. So say, for instance, if you look at, if you say your interest rates were at 4%, okay, on a $100,000 home with what we call principal, interest, mortgage, and insurance, that your monthly mortgage is probably going to be about, for that home, is probably going to be about $450.
For $100,000.
$400,000 per month. If your interest rate goes up to 5%, or let's say even 0.5%, that's going to increase your payment. Oh God, now you're going to make me do math. That's going to take you to just nearly almost $500 a month. Okay. So it is a substantial jump.
Right. So anyone who's at home right now listening and thinking about buying a home or figuring out how interest rates are going to work with that, that's a nice equation. For every percent on $100,000, it's going to be roughly $100 a month. Okay. That's good to know. So is home ownership for everyone?
No. There are some people who it is, just the idea of maintenance, homes do take maintenance, even condos take maintenance. So it is not necessarily for everyone. However, I do think that it is a good investment for most people. And some people just don't, you may be one of those people who moves every 2 or 3 years. If you don't think you're going to be in a city for more than 3 years, it's you're not going to make your money back by purchasing at that point.
Okay.
Although let me quantify that, because the way that prices have been going up, 5 years, we across the country we saw a 20% increase in people's equity. That if every year for 5 years, you're basically doubling the value of your home.
Well, isn't there a plan that people use where every 2 years they can change their permanent residence and then still not pay a certain amount of taxes on the sale and capital gains of a home? Is there something around that would benefit people from moving every 2 years?
Yeah. So, again, if you're going to rent out your property, you can purchase one property and then rent it out. I don't necessarily want to get into the tax because that's not my forte.
Of course.
So, and I don't go into other people's kitchen and cook. But to your point, there is value if you are going to buy and hold property and hold multiple properties.
Okay.
So I drive around a lot and through the city, and I see these signs where people are selling their homes themselves, and I don't see like a real estate and a sign saying this is being sold by this real estate company. So my question is, do people really need an agent?
All right, so we call those FSBOs, for sale by owner. And I guarantee you, well, I can't guarantee you, but for the most part, if you go back, say 3 months later, that they'll have a real estate agent sign in front of the home. There's just so much involved with the process. You don't necessarily want to go it alone. There are ways to, there are certainly ways to do it on your own. And if you have a legal background, if you have the wherewithal to handle showings, if you know what you need to do in order to get a home ready for market. Right now, the way the market is right now, sure, you can certainly sell it on your own. But ultimately, in the scheme of things, you do need someone who has your back and is going to advocate for you and is what we call a fierce advocate.
Okay. Well, clearly this takes me to my next question for you, Troy. There's also been a lot of talk about the sellers contacting the offerers without including the agent. And so I want to know, how problematic is that type of situation for someone like you?
I don't have that very often because I do have relationships. I've built relationships with my clients. I'm blessed that the majority of my business has been referral or people in my what we call our sphere of influence, and those are people that I have built relationships with, and so they know that I have their best interest at heart. As I said earlier, when you're there with them at one of the toughest parts of the process, they want to make sure that you are there with them to make sure that what they might think might be easy doesn't turn difficult, because there will be issues. Now, there are people who do try to remove the realtors out of the process. I don't necessarily want to work with those people, and if they're that dishonest, then they're not people that I want to be around myself.
Okay. You know what? I see, but I do have another question, but I do see that some folks have made some comments. Bobby Edwards has got on here and he says, "Good evening, gents."
Hey, Bobby.
And Terry Franklin thinks that you are handsome, so do I. Yeah, he does. And Monica, she said, make upgrades or sell as is. And she had a question mark there.
All right. Yes. So I'm only going to say this, that sellers are horrible. I'm sorry, buyers are horrible at estimating costs. So and for some reason, $5,000 in their head is the number they get in their head. So it's like when they go into a property, this needs to be painted. This room needs to be painted. That's $5,000. If I'm going to have to change out the countertops, they're horrible at estimating those. So if you take if the work isn't huge and you're not basically renovating, I would say make the upgrades, because it does. You're going to increase the number of people who are going to come to your property and know that they can just walk right in. Everyone likes turnkey. Okay.
I'm going to ask this question before we go to the our viewers' questions, but I guess this is kind of switching gears, but does credit play a part in purchasing a home significantly?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Very significantly. So you can, if you have a FICO score of 620, and I always recommend, I have some great lenders. I have great lenders will look at your, before you start to go through that process, they will look at your credit report. I always joke, when I went to buy my first house, I had not ever looked at my credit and saw that because my sister and I went to the same school and my dad and I had the same name, my sister had about $6,000 worth of traffic tickets on a car that my dad gave her. And I was like, I never had a car at school, but it was on my credit report because they saw my dad's name on it.
Right.
So they put it on mine. So, you do want to find those things out before you start that process. Right. So the things that a lender is going to take into consideration is the amount of your down payment, your credit score, and it's going to be the type of loan. So the amount of your down payment is going to dictate that. But you can buy a property with a credit score as low as 620. We all know that there are 3 credit bureaus. They're going to take the middle credit score. So if FICO if one has you at 700, one has you at 650, and one has you at 620, they're going to use the 650. But also know that lenders do have a different number than, say, what a credit card company will use. Right. So you do want to consult a lender and have them ready when you start this process.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Yeah.
So how much should someone expect to have to put down for a home?
There are many different programs out there. I have VAs right now has the best rates, but is zero down, and then and zero closing costs with it can be a zero closing cost with a VA loan. Okay. And so there are different. You also want to take advantage of some of the programs out there. I'm a big fan of NNPA. I know some people, they are hell to go through.
What you call me?
Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America.
Okay.
And they are a down payment. They are a home buyer education program. I have had several clients go through them, and their interest rates are always very much below the market rate. So they have, with that, they have, while you will have to put some skin in the game, they have a way that you can actually have zero down, but they do want to see you at least be ready for that process. Okay. So typically, FHA loan, you're going to need about 3 to 3.5%. Then each lender has different programs for 5, 10, and 20%. So 20% is, everyone seems to think that's the magic number, but it is not necessary at this point.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Go ahead, Vash. I was going
to say that Blue was asking, does your credit score affect your interest rate?
It definitely does. So the height, if you are in your 7s, as long as you're in your 7s, you're going to get the better interest rates. Anything in the 6s, you're going to get slightly higher. And so it's always, like I said, it's always good to consult with a lender about their programs and also ways to increase your credit score prior to you getting, and they will reevaluate just before you go to settlement as well.
Perfect.
This question here this statement from Rodney E. Hi, Rodney. Thank you for joining us. He said he recently attempted to purchase his neighbor's home, and he refinanced his current house for the down payment, which changed the interest rate to 3% higher. After I did all of the numbers, it seemed to be a good idea. Good for you, Rodney, so far. Okay. All right.
And honestly, that's what we're seeing these days. I have some clients right now, they were getting their house ready for market. The neighbors walked up and said that they wanted to buy the house because they wanted to, they were going to rent out the property.
Okay. And Raymond, I also thank you for joining us, Raymond, for being here tonight. Your question, is there a tax break in using solar energy? We're going to talk about that in the second half of our show, so stay tuned because that question will be answered, Raymond. Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question. Troy, how can someone tell if they're being redlined? And we know historically it has been difficult for African Americans, people of color to buy because of redlining. How can you tell if you are being redlined?
And honestly, there's no real way to tell.
Okay.
The way the system is set up, It is very, very difficult to tell. That's why it's important to have people in your corner, people who, you know, your realtor is going to look at the numbers and say, that doesn't seem right based on what I know. If you're working with a lender that realtor knows, and especially you also, these days, you want to work with a local bank on this. Some of the larger banks have been the biggest perpetrators of that. We won't say the company's name, but they were at one point one of my preferred lenders was with them, and the situation was so bad that people are leaving. The loan officers are leaving those banks. So it's really important that if you do have a realtor that you're working with, that realtor will have people. They're going to build a team for you. That's going to include the lender, title company, home inspector. If you need to do any work, if you want, they're going to have contractors for that, and even movers and insurance people. So as part of this, you're going to build your own team, and those people, and your realtor is your first step in that.
Beautiful.
So, well, with saying that though, I guess with saying that, how can I be sure that the realtor has my best interest in mind?
So I'm always very careful about talking about my fellow realtors. Mm-hmm. So you have, it's about that relationship. I like to build rapport with my clients, and my clients know that the way I think about it is if I take a loss necessarily on maybe on the sale with them, it's because I know that down the line, that relationship is going to be so strong that you're going to come back to me. You're going to send your family and friends. So if your realtor is what we call transactional, and this can be the loan officer as well. If they only are focused on that transaction, and you're going to know, you got to go with your gut. If you feel like they're pushing you towards something that doesn't feel right, or if you have, if they're always taking, they're always pushing you, being a cheerleader for a property rather than looking out for your best interests. Right. And you have to trust your gut on that. And I think Rodney, I think it was Rodney Blue just put up there. Yes, Robert Blue just put up there. Get recommendations from people for realtors that they know are going to take care of you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, are there any questions that, in going through that process, that one should ask an agent to determine if they're a good fit for them, Troy?
So I like to do a full buyer presentation and a full buyer interview. Mm-hmm. And if you don't feel like that realtor is actively listening to you and visualizing what it is that you're looking for, and to Robert Blue's point, you want to get recommendations from people who, not only from family and friends who have worked with somebody. Right now we're in a, you can go on any number of sites and see the reviews that are posted, because people are not shy about putting the word out on bad experiences. Mm-hmm. So if you're, if your realtor is not able to give testimonials or provide you with references, then there is a problem there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
My aunt usually is on in the audience, but she had a question knowing that we were going to be having you and Kay on. She's considering selling her home and is wondering whether or not adding solar panels is something that she should do, and is that going to increase property values?
So solar panels are so new, and Kay can speak about this a little bit better than me in this regard. But from the realtor side, we're still trying to figure out how to evaluate solar panels and some of the lead or some of the green technology. So the part of our process is we actually look at. Sometimes it can be look at whether or not it is affecting your utilities. That can be quantified, but right now we're still it's so new for us that we're still figuring it out.
Right on. Lastly, is there anything that we didn't ask you that someone who is either considering buying or selling should know that you'd like to leave with them?
There is a question in the Norman asked about the impact of gentrification on home value, costs, and availability.
Oh, wait a minute.
So Washington, D.C. has seen, there are certain neighborhoods that have, in general, Washington, D.C. has been undervalued for decades. If you consider this the political capital of the world, and our home values have been very low. Unfortunately, we are seeing certain neighborhoods that G word where people are being pushed out. Part of that is that Washington being a historic city that we are landlocked in many respects. We only have so much land and we're not allowed to build up or too far out. So that does make it difficult. And so the homes that are there are of high value. And right now, it's not necessarily gentrification that's the issue, it's the lack of inventory. So that's what's pushing up prices. And there was and we probably should talk about the house, whether or not there is a housing bubble. So the three things that we should, I know that people are afraid that we're going to reach a housing bubble, but right now, I don't think we are in one because the metrics that we look at are first going to be home inventory. Right now, the last time we had a bubble was we had such an expansion of inventory that we had 11 months of inventory at any given moment. Right now, we have about less than 2 months of inventory. There's also the lending standards. Lending standards have tightened enough that they're not willy-nilly, and they're not just giving money. You're not going to hear about the woman bagging groceries who is approved for a $600,000 home. At the same time, people have plenty of equity, whereas before people were living off of their equity in the 2008 and 2009. Now they have so much equity in their homes that they're not that they have enough to sell their home and buy something new.
Fantastic! Wow, thank you.
Wow. Well, Troy, I'm sure. First of all, we could go on and on and on for a whole hour on this, but we have come to the end of this portion, Troy, and we definitely would like to have you come back because I'm sure we are developing more stories and there will be more information that's put out there. And I would just like to actually create another series, Vash, called how to invest in your home, how to improve your home. I don't know. We're going to come up with something so we can bring you back. But
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, man.
While I'm in the waiting room, I'll refill my glass.
Well, thank you. We will definitely circle back to you. Thank you again for joining us, Troy. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Very informative, Vash.
Totally.
Well, we're not going to waste any more time. I'm going to introduce our next guest. And I'm just going to tell you right up front, I have a personal relationship with this person because I have just recently purchased solar panels for my home. And believe me, it was an honor to work with this individual. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce him and bring him on. Wang, Managing Director and Co-founder of Sustainable You, connects individuals and organizations with their authentic higher consciousness and inspires their embodiment of it for a united impact. Kay's experience in solar, permaculture, community development, marketing, revenue generation, tech, and personal development with individuals like myself, startups, and startup corporations has given him a diverse, interdisciplinary method for identifying and executing innovative growth and development strategies. In addition to his work with Sustainable You, Kay leads governmental committees, facilitates men's groups and spiritual retreats, and empowers transformational creatives around the world by advising them and their organizations. His practice helps them actualize their self-identity, business models, and organizational mission via catalytic and creative framework committed to the creation and betterment of a more beautiful world. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Wang. Hey, Kay.
Hey guys, thanks
Hey,
so much
Kay.
for having me. Similar to Troy, I feel like I have to live up to my bio now. That's a lot of work. I was like, did I write that? You know, so grateful to be here. Thank you for having me, and thank you for everyone listening.
Thank you for being here. And as I said, ladies and gentlemen, I recently purchased solar panels for my home, and Kay broke it down like I was a 3-year-old. And if he can make a believer out of me, and I have friends that have solar panels on their homes, I just couldn't see it, but Kay made it happen. So Kay, do me a favor again. Welcome to the show, but tell us a little bit about yourself and Sustainable You.
Thank you, Alvin. Yeah, I'm happy to. So my concise, kind of short story about myself. I grew up in the area, Northern Virginia. I decided to decline a very nice scholarship and instead travel around the country, hitchhike, actually, work on farms, became a chef, fix motorcycles, things like that for fun and all around the world. And eventually my travels led me to realize that a lot of the impact I can have as a person is through business. I wound up working with a lot of small startups, consulting, and working with Tesla and other companies like that. And about a few years ago, my co-founder invited me to join him in his efforts to grow Sustainable You. So Sustainable You is based in Washington, D.C. That's where, myself and our team live primarily. And we are a community-led consulting firm, essentially, where whether it's solar or energy efficiency, EVs, electric vehicles, growing your own food, sustainable investments, really anything that touches on living a more sustainable lifestyle, we're there for you, where we'll vet and curate the marketplace, different products and services that we and or our partners offer. And then we'll also actually go deeper into that consultancy and actually do deeper coaching for those that want that, to grow in their own sustainable lives for themselves, their families, their schools, churches, businesses, whatever have you. And we also finally act as the project manager, where we deliver and actually manage those solutions too, whether it's solar or getting your EV charger or cultivating your own garden in your backyard, whatever have you, whatever somebody's really passionate about in their sustainable lifestyle, we're there to be your guiding hand, your Sherpa, to help you along the journey.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Wow. Well, that's a lot that you do.
Well, you heard my bio, right? I got work,
So, I mean, are people finding you? How are you finding your customers?
I was just talking about this recently, like a couple of years ago. I was telling my co-founder, we should grow a team. It's kind of hard to just do this with 2 people. And then poof, next month we had 10 people who we started onboarding. It seems to be the same case with our customers mostly, where, we mostly work through referrals. I'd say 80-90% of our business is referral, word of mouth. The other portion tends to come from community events, like us showing up as farmers markets. We recently did a movie screening at a local urban farm. We really care about just meeting people where they're at, having fun, because the reality is sometimes climate change and environmentalism can be kind of a depressing topic. Most people are like, oh, the end is near. What do we do? The home I just bought in Florida is probably going to be washed away by, tsunamis in the next 20 years. What's the point, right? So we prefer to think optimistically about things. And because of that, I think we found a lot of blessings with the customers like Alvin that we've met. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you, one of his, I'm going to say, reps knocked on my door.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know what it was about that day. It was the right time, the right moment, or whatever. But it started this 6-month process of me understanding and getting to know about Sustainable You. So my question right now is, what would you recommend to customers who are deciding whether or not your company is reputable?
That's a great question. It's actually a core part of our model. And I'd first actually like to begin with a quick visionary exercise. With the world we live in, there's a lot going on. And I think people forget to think about the world they want to live in, and instead just focus on, surviving and dealing with the facts at hand. Sometimes a valuable practice can be thinking about, in this specifically, what if we lived in a world where everyone did have their own place, their own home? What if we lived in a world where we had more than enough food to feed everyone and more? What if we lived in a world where we owned our own energy and actually also had more to give back to others? And we benefited from that financially and otherwise, right? Environmentally and spiritually. And because of that and our kind of deeper why, seeing this more beautiful world, we realized that, well, especially in DC, where our main market is, we do work all over the nation, but our main market is definitely in DC. There's so many opportunities here where there's incentives that are so strong, but there's so much information out there, so many companies, so many contractors that nobody knows where to go. And so with my experience about, almost a decade, as well as my co-founders' experience and our teams, we've been able to work with various contractors, various solar installing companies, where we have a very close relationship with their C-levels, their CEOs, their executives, their directors, and we are able to understand how they work, what they offer, their quality of products, their warranties, their insurance, all the things you would ask about in buying any product for your home. And then based on what a customer is looking for, their specific house, their specific situation, we do a lot of that diligence on the back end and then present various proposals that hopefully will meet their needs in the best way. And most of the time, people trust us and go to us because of word of mouth. They've found out through a friend that, who looked at 5 different quotes and spent years looking into solar. I finally met someone at Sustainable U, and please work with them. We kind of cut away that noise and make it easier for, make it easier for people to be like, oh, it's so simple now. I understand. And that's what we're about. And that's why people come to us typically.
Thank you. Okay.
So with your vision of the world you'd like to live in, why is solar so important?
That's an amazing question, Vash. There was a movie that the movie screening we did recently, Breaking Boundaries, and it, in the end, summarized kind of 4 key solutions. One of the key solutions was switching over to clean energy. And the question is simply this: if we could pay more for dirty energy, fossil fuels, or we could pay less or even sometimes make money from using clean energy, what would a person do? The answer is pretty obvious to most of us, right? It's really just understanding how that can be possible is the tricky part sometimes. The reality is solar across the world, and especially in the US, and especially in the local DMV area, is so absurdly valuable, where it's not just affordable and cheaper than Pepco or any other utility. You actually get rewarded for it. Literally, cash comes from going solar. You literally get paid to do it because of the local city incentives in relationship with the utility, Pepco as an example. Similarly, too, it's one of the few home improvements, right, compared to getting a deck or adding a new roof or whatever have you, that immediately starts a net positive cash flow. It's not a sunk loss where you're waiting to recoup your costs. It's literally month 1, your bill will be less. You'll get these extra credits. You'll get these special things called solar renewable energy certificates, or SRECs in DC, that is, that are more valuable than the cost of electricity. So when you buy your solar system, or there's other options too I can explain later, but if you buy your solar system, you are literally taking your power back. The utility, Pepco as an example, is a huge monopoly. They own the grid, they own the infrastructure, and you're forced to pay them no matter what. You move into a house in the city, for an example, you're forced to pay Pepco. There's no getting out of it. You can choose your supplier, but Pepco will be the one to finally deliver your energy. So the reason that it's a good thing is because with the solar on top of your roof, there's lesser cost right away because it's right on top of your roof. And there's a static cost, a fixed cost for the equipment, which will be overcome by these credits that you're making over time.
Well, I'm not even going to ask you my question. I was going to ask you, just outline what the benefits and value is or are of going solar. So I'm going to go back to Ray's question. Ray Macklin, he asked, is there a tax break in using solar energy? So I'll just go to his question, and because you've already outlined, like I said, the benefits and the value.
Thank you, Alvin. Yeah, Raymond, that's a great question. There's various incentives all over the country that can be different depending on your state, your local municipality, your utility. There's many things out there. Part of our job when you work with us is to figure those out with you and work with you in whatever area you are to help figure out what is the best and what can we leverage in terms of incentives or policies. In terms of a tax credit, typically people are asking about the federal tax credit. It used to be 30% of your total system cost. As the years went on, and this year, 2022, we have a 26% tax credit on your system costs. And it's essentially a direct reduction on your tax liability. So it's pretty nice. That actually is going to be going away per the original policy, decreasing this coming year to 22%. and then after the end of next year actually being 0. So now is definitely the best time to go solar, or yesterday rather was the best time to go solar if you're interested in leveraging some, money back off your taxes, which is, nowadays a pretty nice thing, of course.
Okay. So, Kay, we asked Troy, if someone is thinking about selling a house, is it a good idea to add solar? And he wasn't sure exactly how the valuation was working with that. What insights can you give us on?
Yeah, no, it's an emerging kind of niche industry, just real estate and solar combined, because they're so tied hand in hand. In fact, there's kind of two sides of the story, to be honest. One side is realtors like, I hate solar. I don't want to deal with it. It's a nuisance. It's an annoyance. And the reality is that's true. It can be true because it is a new thing that people don't understand. It's the fear of the unknown, right? And usually appraisers, realtors, they're looking at it like, this is kind of tough. But if you actually just spend some time, that's the one catch I'd say with people about solar. You just have to spend the time to understand it. Similar to how Alvin's process was, because Troy actually mentioned it, which is so awesome, Troy, that you did. When you actually look at the overall value of a solar system, which typically lasts about 30 years, you'll see that in my experience in DC as an example, most people benefit 30,000 to 100 some thousands of dollars in terms of energy savings, energy credits, tax credit, and various other, financial benefits. Those numbers can be calculated at the point of sale. Essentially, if you lived in the home 15 years, you had your solar 15 years, there's still 15 years left of financial benefit that you'll simply add on to the sale of the home at that time. If you bought your solar system, a year ago, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just won the lottery, I'm going to move to Hawaii and sell my home. Great for you. You'll have 29 years of value to add to your home. And in my experience recently, more and more people I'm talking to that where we're seeing like, hey, have you gotten solar yet? They're like, oh, actually, I just moved into a house with solar. They explained to me how it worked. The realtor is great, et cetera, et cetera. And it's a very simple process of just transferring over the paperwork, warranties and insurance, all that stuff, very easily transferable. We actually offer additional consultancy with certain clients that wish to work with us and their specific realtor who wants that extra expertise. And many of our partners are actually real estate agents or realtors that work with us closely, where we refer them folks that are looking to buy or sell, and they refer us clients that just moved in who are looking to get solar anyway. So it's a very reciprocal, cultivative relationship.
Well, I saw you just actually answered the question that came from Troy. He wanted to know, do you provide education to the real estate industry on how to value? So you just answered that question. So thank you very much, Troy. And we have two comments. Blue said that he purchased his solar system and he's trying to determine battery back system. What are your thoughts on batteries? And he says he have a few good power outages. And he also asked a second question. So hold on to that. I do know that with these lease solar program, the new buyer must agree to accept the solar or the seller has an issue. Yeah,
those are two great questions, Blue. I love that. I'm happy to answer both. I'll start with the first around batteries. I think in the long term, batteries are very important in terms of decentralizing energy, decentralizing power, and having individuals and small communities, whether it's a school, a church, a city itself, or in fact the whole nation, to be more resilient with energy. Right? We look at stories like with Texas, having their grid problems, a couple of years back or whatever it was. And it's our existing infrastructure in terms of energy and utilities is pretty bad. It's not the best for people or society in the long run. So battery backup, whether it's, whatever type of battery it is, can be valuable for sure for people. For most homeowners, the typical challenge is that they tend to be very expensive right now still. There's still some time to go in terms of cost being lowered, technology maybe being a little bit better. Solar panels standalone are actually kind of there. Like we've hit the kind of plateau with the value of solar. Battery's still an emerging place. If folks have issues with blackouts, power outages, there are folks that always need to have access in the home to energy. You have medical issues or medical equipment, or you need to access elevators in your home, things like that. Batteries are absolutely a necessity, especially if you're going solar, of course. For most people, though, batteries tend to be a luxury purchase for folks that are looking to be more, sovereign in their energy and be like, I own my own energy, I manage it, I store it. This is my hub. This is where I produce my power. not from the utility, but from my roof, right? There is tax credits that can be applied on batteries as well. But typically our advice is, especially in the DMV area, that, unless you really want it for a personal reason, or you really need it for medical reasons or business reasons, batteries tend to be a little bit out of most people's price range, and financially maybe not the best decision. However, if you have the cash or capital and you're looking to make that choice in terms of to support your energy sovereignty, then absolutely it's a great thing. And we can support either decision with our various partners across the country. In terms of the second question, of course, Blue, happy to answer. The solar leasing program. So the other side of things, to use DC as an example, instead of owning your system, you can lease your system, or what's called a PPA, or power purchase agreement, an agreement to purchase power from the solar system that happens to be on your roof. That solar system will be owned by the solar company and or the financiers that they work with. And the benefit is that in DC, for example, it's kind of ludicrous. You can actually get the whole thing entirely for free. Literally on the contract says $0, 0 cents. You pay nothing for 20, 30 years. And the reason why is because the solar companies and the financiers, they get these extra SRECs, those credits that I mentioned, that are immensely valuable. So that's how they make their money. So for the homeowner who doesn't want to buy their system with cash or finance it, if you don't have good credit or you're simply looking for a quick solution, the solar leasing option, especially the free solar lease or power purchase agreement in DC as an example, is a great option for folks that are retired, fixed income, looking to be green, but maybe not in a place financially where they can finance or buy their system with cash. In terms of the specific around selling the home with a solar lease, arguably it is easier to transfer a solar system when you own the system itself, because there's easier mechanisms on the back end with that. When you have a solar lease or power purchase agreement, it is tied into the home typically, and the only time where you'd be able to sell the home without it is if you bought that solar lease out, like you paid the remaining payments, or the new homeowner moving into that home pays out the rest of the lease. They move in and they don't have a lease payment, and they just continue to benefit from cheaper energy. Or in the case of DC, they move in and pay nothing for energy with a solar lease.
Wow. Well, again, another one of these conversations where we could go on and on and on, and I would love to, but we have reached the end of our discussion, Kay. And I'm just going to thank you, first of all, for enlightening us about, the solar energy and for your homes. And so if we could put up how to get in touch with Kay or on the screen, I would like for you all, everybody who's viewing the show, to please go to sustainableu.org. And Kay has provided his website address, and you should go there and learn more about what his company does. It is fantastic. Like I said, he made a believer out of me. And I am here to tell you, I'm a living witness. I have solar on my home, and I am looking for the benefits to roll in soon. But Kay, again, thank you for joining us tonight. And we love to have, what's wrong with my voice? A live show. I'm losing my voice. We definitely love to have you come back. But ladies and gentlemen, please go to his website, Sustainable You. All of his bio is there, and get in touch with Kay. And so, Kay, we will definitely, don't go away, because we're going to bring you back for something very special. Okay, but thanks again, man.
Thanks so much.
All right. Hey, Vash.
Wow. Really informative conversations with both guys. I hope everyone got something out of this conversation. And if you did, please go ahead and hit that like button, because we would love to know, get your feedback on this.
Yes, please, 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 please hit our like button, because we do want to hear from you. Thank you. Well, we have another exciting piece of our show, ladies and gentlemen. As you know, this past Monday was the Met Gala. And, in true fashion with Vash and I, we had to look at some of the fashions and we had to critique them. And so tonight we have asked our special guests to come back, ladies and gentlemen. So if Troy and Kay will join us, they're going to look at the fashions, and we're going to have a fashionable moment. Both of them have agreed to do it. So let's go ahead and start with our first selection. Well, okay, this one was mine. And let me tell you about the Met Gala. First of all, there was nothing about it that wowed me. I didn't see every picture this year, and so the Met Gala did not wow me, so I had to find another way to find interest in myself, because I love fashion. So I did it with color. And I thought everybody who I picked, I thought that they picked the right color for them. And this is Anakie, and she was in Michael Kors. I thought this color was great on her.
You know, I have to say that I have never been more angry at a bunch of people on a red carpet than this particular Met Gala. I'm just like, what are these people wearing, and why do I have to look at them? So I agree with you.
Well, I think they should take off a year and come back. Okay, so that's my thought. So, and feel free, Kay and Troy, weigh in.
I have to agree because it was supposed to be based on the Gilded Age, and they didn't seem to understand that, or didn't Google what it actually meant.
No, they did not.
Or at least watch the show.
The memo didn't go out.
Do something, right? But people are just like, look, I'm just going to look cute and go out and see what happens. But this is a beautiful color, and it's a beautiful color on her. Yeah,
beautiful
absolutely.
Color. Yes. So my next pick was Jasmine Tukes in this Sahara Murad gown. Again, another moment where somebody on the red carpet got the right color. It looked good. Her accessories were good. I love a sexy leg in a sexy shoe, and she hit every stop for me. Okay, so 10s for me.
She looked like, yeah. Cool.
I just want a little more mint.
A little bit more mint?
A little bit more gilded, rather.
Right, exactly. Like I said, it was nobody hit that mark at all.
I liked her little sleeve, though. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she could have done something around the bodice to do that, to give Met and modernize it, give gilded.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I'm still trying to find that. So you're not gonna see any of that in these. Okay, I'm telling you. None of it. I am a sucker for a quilted coat, and Gigi Hadid and Versace did it for me. Okay.
This is like some of the best quilted coats I've seen because I'm watching Project Runway, I'm watching all the shows. People are always trying to do it. This was fabulous.
Fabulous. Nothing guilted about it. Okay.
Nothing.
Quilted, but not guilted.
A gilded curtain.
Exactly. She saw it in the window, couldn't resist. She saw it on a bed and just couldn't resist.
Again, another beautiful color. I love Quanah Chasson Horse in this Prabal Garung gown. I just thought it was again another beautiful moment, nice color. But that's the way I had to go in order to find some, because I just couldn't find anybody. I didn't want to put anyone that I hated. So I gave them 10s for color.
Yeah, and I like the native accents.
Yeah.
She's always serving you with native, yeah.
She stayed true. Okay, Tessa Thompson, Carolina Herrera, again, just beautiful. She looked like a princess. Pink on her looked good. She didn't like toilet paper this year, and
she looks like cotton candy. I like the color though.
Yeah.
It's like cotton candy to me.
My first thought was I kind of want to eat part of it. Very, very
exactly.
Bam.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sustainable dress. Okay.
Because they always say they never eat at the Met Gala. She could have eaten her dress.
But that is a great color on her.
Yeah.
Great color. And my last, I don't give Megan Thee Stallion credit much often, but tonight, that night, I said, okay, Megan, you showed up in true form in Moschino. And so I gave her that. She looked like, what do you call it? A Viking. And, she comes off that way. So I put her on here. It was a stretch.
She was striking.
Yeah, it was a stretch, but I gave her that.
Yeah. She is gilded.
Yeah, futuristic gilded. It's kind of like avant-garde gilded.
She got that part. Yeah.
Exactly. She got that part. Okay.
Can we figure out what Gaga was doing though?
She wasn't here, was she?
Well, no, but I don't know if you saw her. She did like 4 different looks, and they were all a mess.
This year?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed. Okay, I don't know. I haven't seen all the pictures yet, so we got more to go. Okay, let's. And I gave Vanessa Hudgens in Moschino, again, one of my top favorites. I just thought that she carried the attitude really well. Whoever took this picture should get 10s across the board because they captured her in her element, and her confidence made the outfit look good. Yeah.
Right on.
But gilded? No. Okay. All
right. I picked Cardi B. I don't usually like what Cardi B wears, but it was gilded. I thought this dress was really striking. It made her body look great. I realized she couldn't put her arms down because it would have like linked into whatever she was wearing, but I thought this was really fantastic Versace.
Mm-hmm. I like it. Yeah.
Ooh. Right on. Let's go back. Janelle Monáe, I just thought that this was stunning on her. Again, I was angry with everything everyone wore, so I just had to find stuff that I was like, I would like to look at this longer.
Right. I got it, but I didn't get it.
Yes. I mean, I just thought that she's always stunning, and I like that she keeps true to her black and white theme.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of Iris Van Herpen. I'm still not exactly sure how I feel about this. It looks like it's alive and eating, Little Miss Dove Cameron.
But it does feel gilded, a little bit gilded.
It does feel a little gilded, yes.
Okay, so she gets at 8 for gilded. Okay. Okay, all right.
Lily James, everyone was making a huge deal about this Versace dress. I wanted to see what you guys thought of it.
Nothing exciting.
I think we've seen it before.
Well, I was going to say, in my Amanda Priestley voice, groundbreaking.
Yeah, so, you know, Versace, we showed your dress. Sarah Jessica Parker, it was a Christopher John Rogers dress, but the story behind this is that Elizabeth Hobbs Keckley was a trailblazing designer. She was a former slave. She purchased her freedom in 1855 and then went on to be the official dressmaker of the First Lady, Mary Todd Lincoln. And Sarah Jessica Parker decided she wanted to honor Miss Keckley. And for that, I love Sarah Jessica Parker, and I love this dress.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I had a RuPaul moment. Santino would say, if I have to figure it out, okay, then you've lost me. But yeah. I get the story behind it. I get it because you said it. But I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I had to look it up.
The hat throws me, but the dress I love.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, you know, there you go. Alicia Keys wearing Ralph Lauren. I wear sparkly stuff. I bedazzle my own stuff. Yeah. This took some slave children in Indonesia years to make, and I think it's stunning.
Yeah, it's stunning. I loved her hair too. She had disc in her hair. The whole outfit. I thought she pulled it all together. I really liked her outfit as well. Yes, I did too.
Absolutely stunning. And that was it.
Well. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining us on our, our critique of the Met Gala. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our show, and I want to share with you in the whole scheme of mental health awareness. Our words of the week is mental health is not a destination, but a process. It's about how you drive, not where you are going. And that is an unknown quote, ladies and gentlemen. And next week on May the 13th, we are having a model moment, ladies and gentlemen. We are having, some of you are so caught up. Naomi Campbell's great, but we have the model here next week, ladies and gentlemen. Former supermodel, she's now the Miss USA and Miss Universe runway coach. Lou Sierra is going to be here, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know Lou, you will know Lou. She's gangsta model on the runway, okay? I'm talking, the show is going to be lit next week, so you all need to tune in because she's going to give it to all of us, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to close the show by again thanking Troy and thanking Kay for being here tonight. We really appreciate all that you brought to our show tonight and our theme. Incredible. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you
for having us. This is this has been a pleasure.
Thank you. And Kay, I'll be calling you again, man, because I need to talk to you some more because I'm learning about what you've done for me. But thanks a lot for joining us as well, man.
Yeah, I want to be one of your realtor partners.
Yeah, no, please. Yeah, no, this has been great. Thank you so much for having me. There's so much more we can grow together.
That's what he said does, ladies and gentlemen. And on that note, we will see you all next week on the next episode of He Said.
He said.
He said.
That's it. You guys have a good evening and have a good weekend. Be safe out there. Bye.